don't suffer in silence. If you don't want to report it formally to the police, if you don't feel that you're in the right place to have action taken, speak to somebody. There are a number of support agencies that are not connected to the police at all. You need to talk about it. Internalising something so traumatic can only ever have detrimental effects on your mental health and well-being, and so you need to talk to somebody. Unfortunately, sexual offences is still one of the nature types of offences that the outcome at court is still very low. I think it's less than 2% in rape cases. It's those types of offences, they're very seldom, if ever, witnessed by anybody. Who's going to stand by and say, "I will watch someone getting raped"? You're not, are you? It's usually between two persons in a secluded area, and so therefore the chances of the perpetrator getting away with the offending is higher. And sometimes it's in areas where it's secluded, there's no CCTV, and it's looking at corroboration. How can we corroborate? How can we evidence these types of offences? And very often, unfortunately, it comes down to one person's word against another. And it's not a case of we don't believe the victim or the court doesn't believe the victim. It's just sometimes we can't meet that evidential threshold to even get the matter to court. So in most cases, unfortunately, it still gets to the point where the offender isn't judged properly for the offences. I think they're highly prevalent. I think that recently, of late, it's become more apparent that more people are feeling able to report. So it looks like we've got a dramatic increase in those types of offences, when in fact I think we've got a dramatic increase in people being able to report those types of offences. Evidence, reluctance of people to be witnesses, because quite often if an incident has happened, say in a shared accommodation, student halls, friendships have been formed within that time, people take sides, and so quite often there can be a differing of opinion between different witnesses, who heard what, who saw what. A number of difficulties with CCTV, obtaining CCTV, reluctance of witnesses themselves to come forward. There's any number of things that can stall an investigation and make it harder for the police. And then there's also, once they've gathered all the evidence, is sending it to the Crown Prosecution Service and the wait for them to review all the evidence and to make the charging decision. And then if the charge is brought, it's all the waiting time to go to the court. And so sometimes it can be a year to 2 years after the offence before it even sees court. And for some victims, that just isn't good enough. And some people will withdraw their consent before it gets to court at any time. We will lose a victim who will say, "I've had enough now, I don't want to proceed with this anymore." And the frustration of not just all the hard work that's been put into the case, the frustration of not being able to see that perpetrator punished for what they've done. Absolutely, it's a long-running problem that we have with men. It's still very much a case of machoism. Don't want to be going to court, don't want to be humiliated, embarrassed. But we are finding that more men now are speaking up about being sexually assaulted by females. And because those cases are quite rare when they come forward, we tend to prosecute as much as we can, and we've had a few successful cases where it's been a female perpetrator against a male. And so I would say to any man, even if it's even same sex or male female, come to us, speak to us. The trained officers within the Operation Amberstone who deal with the rapes and serious sexual offences, we've got male and female staff, so you can choose who you want to speak to. Because sometimes it is that embarrassment, and you'd rather speak to another man rather than a woman, and so you've got that option. I know in quite a lot of instances we will say to victims, you know, this person could go on to harm somebody else, which I don't think is fair, putting that responsibility on somebody else to actually be responsible for any further instances. But I think it is very important to stop these people. Certain offences become an escalation to bigger offences. So if we ignore the offences such as exposure, indecent exposure, these people may consequently go on to become rapists. So if we stop that offending at the very start, we prevent further offences and escalation, and we can deal with those people and get them sometimes the help they require and need to stop their offending. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can go online, and Treetops, which is the Sexual Offences Referral Centre, and that's available 24 hours a day. And you can get their contact telephone numbers, you can speak to support workers, you can see, you can ask them what happens now, what can I do now. You can speak to me as the university liaison officer if you're a student at the university, and seek advice. And there's also Rape Crisis, there's Parks, Portsmouth Against Rape Centre. Go online, there is so much information out there, there's so many resources where you can seek help, and where you can build that confidence and see, how far do you want to take it. Because at the end of the day, as a police force, we are victim led. So if a victim comes to me and says, I have been raped or sexually assaulted, I'm duty bound to record it under crime statistics. I have to record that a rape or a sexual assault has occurred. But if that victim says, I don't want any formal action taken, I can't force that victim to make a statement. I can't force that victim to come with me to the rape centre and be examined, because what would be the point in that? I'd be victimising a victim, and then I've lost that person completely. So as I say, take your time, and it's have a look and see what's out there. And I know the university itself has a lot of staff support through the wellbeing services, Res Life, Student Life, and they can all advise you, so it's just have a look, see what's out there, but please talk to somebody. I think it's getting better. I think a number of campaigns run by the government which have been televised, such as the Enough campaign, they are to raise awareness of violence against women and girls. And I think some high profile cases, the Me Too movement and the Sarah Everard case, really brought it to the forefront of, these incidences are still happening. We're in 2024 and it's still not safe for women in the nighttime economy to be out and about, and for women still not feeling safe walking home to and from work or from lectures. And I think it's educating young men on how they act towards women, and stopping the smaller behaviours, the harassing behaviours, the approaching women in the nighttime economy, and dealing with those types of instances. And it is very much a case of calling people out. Don't just stand by and watch it. If it doesn't look right to you, challenge it. I think it highlights it. I think we have to keep it in the forefront. And I think we have to regularly have these campaigns, and we have to have these months where we have awareness, and police actively go out and we are sort of highlighting those particular issues, because yes, it does raise awareness and it keeps it in the forefront of people's minds that, oh, this is still happening, this is still going on in 2024 around the world. This is still prevalent in today's society. I think because we all live in our own little bubbles and we're all quite secure, unless we are a victim ourselves, or aware of another victim, we're less inclined to think it's happening, because we don't see it, we don't hear it. So I think we need to keep it in the public and make people aware. Be patient. People, sometimes when they report instances, it comes out backwards. Sometimes people find it very hard to verbalise what has happened to them. And so it's being patient, having the time to listen, and that's the main thing, is listen. Don't bombard someone with questions. Let them tell you what has happened in their way. If you need to sort it out as a police officer in a chronological order, you can do that later on. But at the time when you're listening to someone and taking someone's incident report, is take your time and just show empathy and care towards that person. A number of reasons, cultural reasons, can impede someone talking to the police. The police, full stop, can be an impediment, which is why we have third-party reporting. There's a number of places within the university. I think the library is one of the main ones. There's also rape crisis, and there's a number of places you can go to and report if you don't feel that you are able to go to the police initially. And I think we're breaking. I think some people just look at the police and just think, oh, they're not to be trusted. They hear so much online. They see snippets of police brutality and think we're all like that. Instead of coming forward and realising that the police actually have specialised units now, specially trained officers, and this is all they do. They just take reports about serious sexual assaults and rapes. They are brilliant at what they do. They're amazing people. And there's also, and I think most forces have these, sexual offences referral centres, which is a drop-in where you don't have to speak to the police at all, but you can have the evidence secured of the offence with specially trained workers on site, so that when you are able to come forward, when you feel that you have that strength and you need to report it, you want to report it, that you haven't lost any of that evidence and you can just walk into one of the referral centres. So I am Clare Parry. I am a police constable and I'm currently the University Liaison Officer for Portsmouth University.